What's good, YouTube? This is Delteros, and today I'm gonna talk about some things that need buffs in Pokemon Winds and Waves. Now, I've talked about buffing types, I've talked about buffing specific mons, I've talked about several different things, and like honestly, it occurred to me that if they just buff certain generic moves, that the types will get that overall buff. If they just buff certain generic weather effects or generic things, then types will get that overall buff. Now, first up, we need to buff the Fang moves. Buff them to 85 power and 100% accuracy. There's no reason for this. I don't even know their percentages for. Let's see. Oh, it's got a 10% chance to paralyze, which means the other fangs have 10% chances to burn or freeze. And then it's got a 10%, and then it's got like a 10% chance to flinch. That is not a reason to have this thing be 65 power in modern Pokemon. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. Stop that. It needs to be 85 power. Actually, it could probably afford to be 90 power if I'm being honest with you. These typings need good base 90 moves so that, yeah, they don't have to rely on like Flare Blitz. Actually, Electric type doesn't even have a good 100 base power move that is generic without a negative secondary effect. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. These types need help. This is how you help them. You give them, you buff these moves. You can make them like 90 power. You could even get rid of the flinch chance if you wanted to, and maybe buff the percentage chance of the secondary effect to 20%. But I mean, if you do, instead of creating a bunch of new moves, you could focus on buffing old moves and actually making old moves worthwhile. You don't need to give everything signature moves, I guess. This is something new to me. Trust me, I know. I completely understand. It kind of just dawned on me today that we have all these moves that don't get used because of how bad they are. But um yeah, the Fang moves need to be 90 power, and I could see them staying at 95% accuracy if they buff the chance of flinching or whatever to 15 to 20%. But honestly, 95% accuracy might as well be 50% accurate in this game. Don't ask me why, but Pokemon, the the Pokemon company does not know how to program accuracy rolls apparently, because 100% accurate does not necessarily mean, or should not necessarily mean, that it never misses. I get that 100% is, you know, maximum accuracy, and that should be the case, but just because a move has maximum accuracy does not mean that it's never going to miss. It should depend on the evasion of the Pokemon and this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know how to do those formulas. But like 90 power, 100 accuracy, and you have a good generic move that gets passed around to a lot of different Pokemon in these Fang moves, because there are three of them. There's Fire Fang and Ice Fang. I don't have it pulled up here because they literally have all the same effects and stats and everything. It's just, whew. But yeah, I don't see why, like, Flamethrower is 90 power and like 90% accurate, 95% accurate. So why can't the physical equivalent be? Why does Flamethrower not have a physical equivalent? Why does Thunderbolt not have a physical equivalent? Why does Ice Beam not have a physical equivalent? At least I don't think it does. Um, and also because yes, the punches and the fangs are absolutely necessary because yeah, I'm sorry, Hitmonchan isn't gonna bite somebody, so yes, he needs to be able to punch. Also, another buff you could give them is have them deal damage based on whichever opponent defense is weaker. Like if Hitmonchan punches his opponent with Thunder Punch, it should deal damage based on like if his physical defense is lower, it should still come off the physical attack, obviously, but it should deal damage based on like let's say you have a Pokemon with like a 60 base physical defense versus 130 base special defense, it would deal damage on the physical side then. Or if flip those stats and they have the 130 defense, 60 base uh special defense, it would deal damage based on the special side. These are elemental punches. They should have elemental effects. Like it should be physical. They should take or you could just deal damage based on both defenses at once. I don't know how you would calculate that, but yeah, I could see that being a thing. But that's not the only thing I came to realize. We need a thunderstorm effect. I'm gonna just close out these tabs because I'm done with them. But we also need what I call the thunderstorm effect, which is basically where not in like rain dance shouldn't cause a thunderstorm, but um Kyogre with its drizzle ability. I don't know. You could re. I'm not saying they should rework the drizzle ability. I think they should just give Kyogre a new ability, and it should cause thunderstorms because if you cause the kind of mass destructive levels of rain that Kyogre is said to be causing, it's gonna create thunderclouds. The winds, the rain, all that crap is gonna create thunderclouds. It only makes sense. But and what the thunderstorm ability or what the thunderstorm should do is it should either deal damage percentage wise like sandstorm does, and it should like maybe deal a little bit more damage if it's super effective, kind of like stealth rock does. Sorry, i'm I'm weird about notifications on my phone. I can't help it. Um, but like you should deal damage based on super effectiveness, or in the case of a lightning rod Pokemon, it should draw in like basically if you have Kyogre next to Raichu with lightning rod, Raichu should take the hit for the Kyogre at the end of the turn and get the stat boost. Also, buff Storm Drain so that in rain, it gets the stat boost at the end of the turn. But yeah, like just little little things that they could change about weather effects and the moves and stuff to make Pokemon better. Cause and I don't know who should get the thunderstorm ability. I'm thinking like give Zapdos the ability because part of its entire thing is it causes thunderstorms. Give Kyogre the ability because when you have the kind of destructive desolation type weather that Kyogre is said to bring, it's gonna cause thunderstorms. Um, I don't know what you could do to buff Sun, but keep the buffs from last generation for Hail, and or yeah, keep the buffs from last generation for Snow, but also bring Hail back. That would actually be a boon to Ice types because they would basically be the only thing on the field not taking damage, and that's cool. Like I don't know why they decided to debuff, why they decided to buff and yet debuff snow like that. I wish they would have kept hail, but also given it the 50% buff to defense. I could see that as being a thing. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but at the same time, this stuff needs to be said. I kind of wish I had other people to talk to about this. I don't know. It's just little things that they need to buff in Pokemon Wind and Waves. Shut up. Notifications everywhere. I can't stand it. But yeah, they need to buff these things in Winds and Waves. They need to buff these things in Champions. And, like, I don't see, especially the move buffs that I said, just give it 20 power, 30 power. Who cares? You buffed Leech Life from 20 power to 80 power. I forget what knockoff's power was originally. I think it was 40, and they buffed it to 60, and then they gave it the buff of doubling in uh doubling if it knocks off an item or something. So yeah, they can do things like that. They've done it before. I don't see why giving these generic moves a base power boost is such a problem. Let me know in the comments if you think that I'm insane. Let me know in the comments if you think that Thunderstorm is a cool idea and how you would implement it, because I think they should do like I said, have it be a damage, like a damaging thing at the end of the turn, and then if a Pokemon with Lightning Rod is on the board, it should, take the hit. If a Pokemon with uh there was another move, there was another ability. Oh, Volt Absorb. Yeah. Volt Absorb and Lightning Rod should take the hit in thunderstorms, and buff Water Absorb and Storm Drain so that they get the buffs from their abilities at the end of each turn during rain. Also, buff Flash Fire to make it like Storm Drain or Lightning Rod. Period. Like, that's all you have to do to it. And instead of making Storm Drain or Lightning Rod boost special attack or boost the specific attack, have it boost the attack that's higher on the Pokemon. So like Rhydon, when it gets hit with a lightning bolt, will get an attack boost. Or Raichu, when it gets hit with a lightning bolt, or an electric attack or whatever, will get a special attack boost or a physical attack boost. Because yes, Raichu can be a physical or special attacker. And do the same thing with Flash Fire. I am sick and tired of Flareon getting no love because it has a bad move set. It has two bad abilities. In Flash Fire, and because Flash Fire buffs its weaker special attack one time. Big whoop. And Guts, it can't use Guts effectively because the way to use Guts effectively is to burn, but the only other way to activate Guts in most cases is to badly poison with the Toxic Orb, and between Flare Blitz and Toxic Orb, Flareon's lasting maybe one turn. Maybe. It doesn't have the HP or defenses to sustain that. And that's not fair. Fix Flareon. But also, another thing you can do, and another thing that I think that they should do, because special attackers have started running rampant with the rise of Intimidate, is make poison, take the badly poisoned status off a toxic, and make the poison status itself where it does to special attack what burn does to attack, which is like cut it in half, I believe. But yeah, I think that those would be some good ways to buff or nerf or just slightly alter weather and move and status effects. But yeah, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please leave comments in the comments section of the YouTube video. And, you know, as I said, like, comment, and share and subscribe. Thank you guys for 46 subs. I hope you guys are having a good evening, great day, whatever the case may be. Um, this has been Delteros. Remember, don't be me, be better.